Hello, everybody. Hello, guys. Hello, everybody. Who is here? Sorry, we started a bit late, so I had to. I needed technical assistance. I needed technical assistance to get on live. But thank you guys for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. How are you guys doing? How's everybody? Please, can you just um tell us where you're watching from? Can you tell us where you're watching from? Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're watching from. Would like to know. Yeah. Ogun State. Yeah. From Abuja. I see you from Ghana. Warri, Florida. Joanna. Oh, repping London. I see you. London. London. Thank you. Minnesota. Accra. Boston. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Adekunle Boluwatife from Nigeria. Nigeria is big now. Give us city. Joanna, I see you from Ghana. Mavina from Manchester. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for joining. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? I'm here today. Mrs. Uche, the Affair Whisperer, will join us in a bit. Pastor Mildred will also join us in a bit. But I'm here with my brother and friend Hassani Perifon. Hassani, how are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. How are you?
Very well, very well.
Awesome.
So, as you guys know, all four of us are infidelity recovery specialists. I'll say the most experienced is Asani, definitely. He has done this infidelity recovery for a while. I'm sure he has seen a wide variety of cases and situations. So, we just felt we needed to do a Q&A just to answer some people's questions quickly as we can in this short session. The reason is because uh, nobody starts a business hoping that there'll be infidelity or there'll be cheating. Uh, However, it is kind of a reality in many marriages. It's like when you start a company, you don't hope that there will be fraud, but if you don't put things in place, fraud will happen.
Mm.
You need to know what to do, you know, when it does happen or if it does happen. All right. So we are here to answer some questions, but we also have a proper boot camp starting this week where we'll take you through a journey of healing. One of the things I've learned over the years is that many people just wing it. Once there's infidelity or cheating in the marriage, I see people just wing it. And to be honest, there's no limit to how far people go with weird things. I've heard all kinds of weird things as a pastor and as a practitioner, all kinds of weird things. Like I share the funny stories where Hassani, I don't know if I've ever told you this one, where a man was cheating in his marriage or cheated in his marriage, and they went to the church for counseling, and the pastors handed over the case to the wives of the church and also, and they all now told the woman that it's her fault that her husband cheated. She should go and buy sexy lingerie and have sex with the man at least 2 times a day or every day so that he would not cheat. So I've seen those kind of weird cases. So please give some comments and all that.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. You can have good intentions, but offer bad advice. You know what I've heard? I've heard many stories of a person going to their pastor because their husband cheated and the pastor was cheating. So couldn't get proper advice from the pastor because the pastor was doing the same thing that the husband was doing and then covered and justified the husband's actions. So yeah, this is why what we do is so critically important, because people need a resource that they can rely upon, not just to get information, but trusted advice and counsel.
Hmm. Hmm. So I just see people just try to navigate it. I think there's a systematic way, there's a right way to address this kind of things. Um, so I don't know if the members of the audience have some questions, but Tony, if you are around, maybe you might have to um, start with some of the questions that we had on my social media. A few of them um, that we had. I don't know if you saw them, Tony. A few of them that we had, so we can start from those ones and later let the audience ask. So if you have any married friend, you have any body that wants to be here, even if you're not married, really, it will benefit you to start to learn. As a young pastor for many years, I didn't even know there was a proper way to deal with infidelity cases. Like most other pastors, just tell people to forgive, hug each other, don't do it again,
Mm.
move on. But there is a more systematic way. There is a broader understanding of what both parties are, are facing, you know, when there's infidelity. So, yeah. So we need to address that properly. So, Hassani, go ahead. This is your question. Tony, are you going to read it for us, or we'll just read it ourselves?
Should a man forgive his wife who cheated? Yeah. If, first of all, whether you stay together or not, harboring bitterness and resentment internally and being in a space of unforgiveness has a significant number of consequences for the person who does not forgive. And there will continue to be a struggle if you decide to stay in the marriage. I know countless people who have made the decision to stay, but they've made an internal vow with it themselves never to put themselves in a vulnerable position, never to trust their spouse again, never to forgive. And we don't realize that when we do that, we are committed to the marriage, the institution of marriage, but we're not committed to the relationship within the marriage. And let me tell you something, being in a marriage where you feel trapped and confined and emotionally disconnected and you have bitterness and resentment towards your spouse, that's not a healthy relationship to be in. So we call this the sufferer marital pattern. The sufferer marital pattern is the couple who experienced infidelity and haven't been able to get beyond it. And so they're in constant turmoil, back and forth fighting, arguing. There's always an issue, and it circles back to the affair. There's a low intensity warfare that they engage in all the time because of this refusal to forgive. And so you need to forgive your spouse for your own healing so that you can free your own self. But also, if you're considering remaining in that marriage, it is essential for healing and personal restoration and relational reconciliation.
Wow, that's amazing. So, hope that blessed someone. Hope that blessed someone.
I
All right.
see a lot of questions in here. Can I just, oh, okay. I
Yeah,
guess,
it's okay.
okay. Should I read these? And
Yes, please go
okay.
on.
So is polygamy cheating or infidelity? Some countries like Kenya and some in the Middle East, polygamy is legal. How do couples navigate that? I mean, I could share my perspective and then you can jump in and share yours. It, you know, it's interesting. I'm out of the country right now, PK, and I met a gentleman in the supermarket. And, I'm in Latin America. So anytime I see someone who looks like me, I'm going to connect with them. And so I'm like, are you from the States? He says, like, yeah, I'm from Georgia. And I said, oh, I'm from Georgia too. I'm here with my family. And I showed him a picture of my family. I said, this is my wife. These are my 4 kids. And he showed me a picture of his. And there was about 8 people in the picture. And he said, these 2 women here, these are my 2 wives, and these are our children. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you all live together. It's yeah, this is how we do life. And what I've come to realize is that, marriage has been defined and redefined a number of different ways. And depending upon your culture, depending upon what part of the world you come from, you will look at marriage differently. And so, as a Christian, as a believer who believes in kingdom marriage, it is between one man and one woman. And so, therefore, anything outside of that would be considered cheating or infidelity. And so, even though there's different cultures around the world, we belong to the culture of the kingdom of God that supersedes all cultures around the world. That's the perspective I come from. So if my culture endorses a behavior that's not consistent with the culture of the scripture, then I have to conform to the culture of the kingdom of God. And then kingdom marriage is one man and one woman. And so anything outside of that would be considered infidelity. What's your perspective on that?
Oh yeah, definitely. You're absolutely correct. The Bible is clear about the issue of polygamy, even though a lot of people are trying to make a fuss about it by quoting weird scriptures. But Jesus made it clear that the two shall become one flesh. A man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. So there are many clear references how the two become one. It's not the three become one. It's not the eight become one. It's the two. So one of the things that happens is that people want to write their own. They want to define marriage their own way. Everybody just wants to write their own rules, for something they didn't create. So that's the problem. And I can't force somebody to do what the Bible says, but it's clear to me as a believer what the Bible says. All right. God believes in one man, one woman. That is what God has always created. That's how a family unit runs. Anything other than that, no matter how glamorous people try to paint it, is definitely chaotic. Definitely chaotic. Can never be balanced, can never be equal. No man can love two women the same. No man can care for two people the same. It's just impossible. All right. So, but again, this is not about polygamy. All right. So let's not waste so much energy on that.
What advice would you give a Christian couple, who has gone through a challenging season of separation due to infidelity, where one party's ready to resolve, but the other person is firm in his or her choice to not continue, but rather have a divorce? That's a great question. What I would say to that is, we deal with many couples there's three types of couples we work with. I don't know if you can see me beyond that comment. Couple number one, they both want the marriage. Thank you. Couple number two, one wants it and one is unsure. Couple number three, one wants it and one does not. And so they all still go through a counseling process. Now, their motive may be different, their reasons may be different, but yet they all show up. And so what they discover is the one who's vacillating back and forth, do I stay, do I go? The one who absolutely does not want it. If they go through this process, they oftentimes change their perspective. They oftentimes realize, wait a minute, okay, this can be restored. We can work through these things. I think a lot of times people reach a point of divorce out of desperation because they don't know what else to do. They haven't figured out the how. And so what we tell people is that it's not your job to know the how. You came to us because we know the how. It's your job to know the why. Why are you doing this? What do you hope to gain? Even if your decision is to leave, but I'm just going to go through this for the sake of we have children, or if we don't go through a process, then the divorce could be ugly. So that's why I'm doing it. Okay, fine. But if you're open to what could potentially take place, what we have found is that more often than not, couples reconcile within that counseling process and wind up staying together and really forming an amazing relationship. And there are many people who have had better relationships after the discovery of the affair than what they had prior to it. See, prior to it, you were kind of living in the dark because you didn't know what was going on before you discovered it. But once it came out, it was ugly, it was difficult, it was painful. You had to go through that process, but it allowed you to focus and address issues that you never wanted to focus on. And it allows couples to put the proper building blocks in place to have a healthy, mutually beneficial relationship. So couples wind up having better relationships after the discovery if they go through a process. So I would encourage that person, if you want it and your partner absolutely doesn't, okay, make a rule, I've had couples who came up with an agreement that says, fine, I will honor your desire for divorce, but in order to do that, we got to go through counseling first. And it's actually worked in the favor of the person who wanted the marriage. Okay. Please, how can a 39-year-old woman who is a divorcee position herself to get another partner? She was initially in an abusive marriage that was led to the divorce. Okay, so she's 39, she's divorced, she wants to position herself for another partner. Well, there's an incalculable number of things you can do. Number one, be committed to becoming the best version of yourself. You know, when a person is divorced, they still have to go through a healing process, because sometimes we carry the residue and the pain of that previous relationship and we bring it into the next relationship. So that pain, that hurt, that bitterness, those trust issues that I had because of Bob, now I project that to Bill. So now Bill has to suffer for what Bob did to me because I didn't properly heal. So that would be the absolute first thing that you need to do. And having the right mindset on what a healthy relationship looks like. Because, you know, let me tell you something. I've been married for 22 years. If I got divorced, God forbid, and had to enter into the dating world, it's a completely different world than what it was 22 years ago. So I have to have what we will call relational intelligence to know how to properly function in these times and know how to interact. I will say this. There's a lot of men and women who are divorced who believe I would make a good husband, I would make a good wife, and maybe they would. So they know how to be in a committed relationship, but they may not know how to date. Dating is a skill within itself. And so, you know, we talk about the 4 seasons of a successful relationship: the dating season, committed courtship, engagement, and marriage. And each season comes with their own responsibilities and expectations. And if you're not savvy enough or sophisticated enough to know what dating looks like, you may prevent possible opportunities because you didn't know how to function in that season of a relationship. So gaining intelligence in that space would also help you.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I would like to add as well, aside the healing that you need to go through, also you need to see yourself as single. You're single. So what do all other single people do? You know, if you're a lady, I see, yes, this is a lady's question from what I'm seeing. Pastor Gujad is doing BFF. Very important. It's because of things like this. We discovered that, you know, a lot of people are not ready. Just like Hassan said, maybe they just want a marriage, but they are not actually ready. So Pastor Mildred is doing like is it 2 months or 3 months? I don't know how many months. 12 weeks. Yes, that's 3 months. A 12-week mentoring for single ladies. All right, because there's no way I can get you ready in this session we're having now. But if you join a long mentoring, all right, if you join a long mentoring like this, you'll be able to get, you know, proper assistance, all right, proper help. You're going to be with other single ladies. They will coach you, they will mentor you through from a seasoned person. Like Pastor Major was married for a long time and also a marriage coach as well. So if you're a single lady here, they'll put the link up now. So I don't know if Tony and Co are here. They'll put the link up and the number you can reach, just in case the link that your link is forever for some reason not clicking. Join the BFF. It's starting this week, so you have to join today. All right. I'm seeing Coco Muffin saying, I sent emails, I made calls concerning the BFF program, but I've not received reply. I want to be part of it. I need someone I can contact for help. So amazing, Coco. So Coco, what number did you call? But they're going to put the link, Coco Muffin. They're going to put the link now here. They're going to put numbers now. But I wonder what number you even called in the first place. So please put BFF links. Is there a number? You know, you have to put the number because some people somehow might not be able to click the link. So the link is on the chat, guys, and the number will be put on as well. Register for BFF. A single lady watching me, please go join BFF. It will bless you. As long as you're single, whether in a relationship or not relationship, as long as you're single, because sometimes what makes marriages fail is not a relationship problem, it's a personality problem. So the thing about BFF is that it's not only about marriage, it covers a better version of yourself all through. One of the things that makes marriages crash It's not usually a love problem. Sometimes it's just a past issue, trauma, the way you see it. So many financial issues. So it's not everything is not love or romance. Okay, so that is why. Um, and you need to join BFF. Okay, so please, that will help you. All right, you can go ahead, Tony. So the next question.
How about a case where a man discovers his 4 children are not his? What should he do? Get counsel as soon as humanly possible, because I can imagine that any human being, male or female, well, in this particular male, in that case, his initial reaction would be anger and rage. I've seen people do destructive things for a lot less than finding out all 4 of your children that you thought were yours, that you cared for and loved and raised and financially provided for. You discovered that none of them were yours. I would personally have many questions for that person. But I think getting wise counsel is key, because you don't want to react and respond emotionally. Anytime you're driven by your emotions, you're going to make a decision that will not serve you, that will not serve your wife or those children. And I think it requires a lot of prayer and a lot of guidance to know how to walk. See, this is something you need to walk with someone through. Like, you need to be discipled or counseled or coached through something like this, because there's a lot at stake here. I have really more questions than answers that I could provide you with, just based upon that question. And depending upon how you answer those questions would help me determine exactly the strategic steps to take. But the long and short of it, the general answer is find someone who can help you in this situation, because you're going to need it.
Yeah, that's a serious one. 4 whole kids, though. You definitely need proper counseling. That's the mistake people make. They're trying to handle these things on their own. You need professional help. Definitely professional help. If you
And let
know,
me just say,
Mhm.
PK, like, this is not a foreign idea. Like, I've heard of this. I mean, I've counseled people where this has been the case. And, your child is 18, and for some reason you had this feeling all along that maybe they weren't yours. They don't look anything like you. You decide to get a blood test, and then the truth comes out. But 4 children, that's a whole nother dynamic, because the level of deception involved in that is beyond normal. So yeah, get some help, reach out.
Mhm. Mhm. All right.
Next question.
Okay.
If someone loves their girlfriend but ends up in a position of kissing and touching another woman and feels guilty after and repents, how do they deal with this? So, my question would be to your question: when you say how do they deal with this gives me the idea that the person that you love they know what you did. If that's the case, then I would encourage you to go through a process. See, here's the reality. Um, Infidelity is not just sex. Okay, it's not just sexual intercourse. That's what we would call forbidden sex. But there's something called stolen love, which is more of an emotional connection. So imagine this: physical sex versus an emotional attachment. The damage could be just as great, no matter which one it was. So when you say, they kissed and touched, well, that's still physical interaction. And so that could be just as damaging as full on sex to your partner. And it requires a very similar restoration process that anybody who has had an actual sexual affair has gone through. And so I don't think there's any less that you would do. You would go through the same process that anybody who's experienced a full on affair would go through. Because I'm going to tell you, I've dealt with couples where the affair partner was married for 30 years and their affair relationship was 30 years long. So it lived in the shadows of the marriage for 30 years. And then I've known other people who've had a one night stand, right? And so the one night stand to one spouse is just as devastating as the 30-year affair. I've known other people where there were just pictures and videos exchanged. That's it. That's all. And the impact of that for one spouse is just as devastating as a one night stand. And so, regardless, if your emotional focus, physical focus has gone towards anyone other than your primary partner, it requires a comprehensive restoration process.
So to throw in, that's why we are actually having what we call the reboot, the reset boot camp for couples dealing with infidelity. I've just seen people suffer for nothing because they're trying to address these things themselves. Somebody gets hit by an 18-wheeler truck, and they just think we can address it ourselves. We can just, yeah, and they just continue dragging for years and years and years, and hurting each other more and more, and eventually destroying the marriage and destroying the kids and everybody. Please, if you know any couple dealing with infidelity, don't just think and wing it yourself. I don't know if I've run into anybody that was able to handle it well by themselves. I don't know if I've run into one. Most times, what we hear are people covering it up, people just pretending it's okay, people just hurting for years and years and years. So please, there's a proper way to deal with infidelity in a marriage or a relationship. That's why we're having this boot camp. I'm bringing experts to you guys, so it's something to take advantage of. If you want to go privately to any of these people, it's going to cost way, way, way more. We decided to do it like this so that everybody can partake of it, and it can be affordable, and you can also see other people dealing with the similar things you're dealing with, and get healing together. So this boot camp is also starting this coming week. Reset boot camp. You can see the links as well as been posted. There is a number there to reach as well. If you want to sign on, if your partner doesn't want to join, you can join alone and get healed for yourself. But it's better if both of you come together as a couple, because we're going to be doing things for the offender, doing things for the offended, and also doing things for the marriage. So it's a 3-part healing journey. I want to highly recommend it. It's starting this coming week. So if you have infidelity in your relationship or marriage, don't just wing it. You do not have the capacity to wing it. It's better you join this class. All right? Yeah. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, this is interesting. If one has a constant issue of lusting or wanting a particular cousin and stepsister in such a way that it has caused them to cheat in lots of their dating life, how do they work to prevent this again? So I want to focus, whether it's a cousin, a stepsister, a colleague, the next door neighbor. I don't think the person matters. It's more of an internal issue. And so I think that what we're dealing with is someone who struggles with lust. And so the question is, how do you overcome a lust craving so it doesn't happen again? I think in order to solve any issue, you must first go to the root, right? What is it that is happening inside of the person that's driving this behavior? Is it an unmet need? Is it an unresolved boundary? Is it a psychological imprinting from earlier life? Oftentimes, a lot of our drives, a lot of our temptations, a lot of our vulnerabilities and addictions come from childhood, something that we've experienced, something that we've been exposed to, comes from previous relationships. And we carry that with us everywhere we go. And it winds up showing up and manifesting because it's an internal pattern within us that keeps producing the same behavior again and again and again. And so spiritual deliverance is something that definitely needs to be done, but then also an addictive recovery process, right? So there are a lot of recovery programs out there that focus on all types of addictions. So when we say lust, we're talking about an insatiable desire that cannot be, a desire that cannot be fulfilled, a thirst that cannot be quenched, a behavior that you find yourself constantly doing again and again and again and don't have the ability to control. That's what an addiction is, right? And so we're addicted to different things. Some people are addicted to sex. Some people are addicted to porn. Some people are addicted to alcohol and to drugs. Some people have hidden addictions, right? So, we can say that somebody's a sex addict because they keep cheating on their spouse. Well, okay, that's one way of looking at it, but then there may be hidden addictions within us. Like, for instance, I may be addicted to the in love feeling. So if I no longer feel in love with my partner, I'm searching for that feeling in someone else. Some people are addicted to new, the new car, the new house, the new dress, the new vacation. When new becomes normal and old, now you're in search for something else because your relationship is no longer new. So I think it's important to understand the root of a thing in order to solve it. Because if somebody just throws some blanket diagnosis on you that is not specific to your particular issue, then it won't solve the problem. And you'll find yourself right back in the same situation that you've been trying to get out of. So I think seeking help in this regard, as I said, spiritual transformation, but also getting counseling with somebody who could walk you through overcoming those addictions and the patterns attached to it is really the key to the breakthrough. So not only will you no longer cheat on your existing partner, if this relationship doesn't work and you enter into another one, you won't be carrying that same internal pattern because it's been broken.
Yeah, go ahead, Tony. That's a good one.
What do you do when the victim in the divorce is not willing to go through any type of counseling from family, friends, or professional? The person who cheated wants to save their marriage. Yeah, unfortunately, this is a real situation. It's either A, you're going to find that the person who cheated doesn't think they need any help. I've made the decision to no longer do it, and that's it. Let's just move on. But then B, oftentimes the betrayed spouse says, I wouldn't be in this situation if it weren't for you. You need to get help. I'm fine. I'm not going to go to counseling. Now, the challenge with that is what the offender did, what the cheater did to the betrayed spouse caused pain, hurt, and brokenness. And they live from a place of pain, hurt, and brokenness. They live from a place of fear, worry, and doubt. And it impacts their ability to show up as a spouse in the marriage. It impacts their ability to show up as a parent to their child. It impacts their ability to show up in work. They can't focus on work, right? They're not eating, they're not sleeping. They're going through all types of physical, emotional, and spiritual changes because of the impact of the affair, yet there's no desire to get the help. All you can do, there's a few things you can do. Number one, I would pray. It's your responsibility to pray for your partner if you know your partner is down. Because the fact of the matter is, some plant, some water, but God gives the increase. Maybe I'm not the one in a position to try to help my spouse because she's completely turned off by me, tuned a deaf ear to me, doesn't want to hear anything that I have to say. Typically, when a person who's gone through an affair, the betrayed spouse, they feel detached. They feel detached from themselves, detached from their spouse, detached from family and friends, detached from God. They don't even know who they are anymore. They're spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. So the question that I often ask the offender is, who has access to your spouse's ear? Meaning, who still has close access and influence in their life that can encourage them with messages that won't get through when you attempt to articulate it? Who would that be? Is it a sibling? Is it a parent? Is it a best friend? Whoever that person is, get to that person and partner with that person to get to the spouse who refuses to get help. That's another thing you can do. A third thing you can do, and we've encouraged people to do this all the time. Fine, maybe they don't want counseling, but maybe they're willing to read a book. Maybe they're willing to go to a class. Maybe they're willing to join a program. Maybe they're willing to watch videos. That oftentimes there's something that they're willing to do, if not counseling, because they may have a bias or some type of resistance to counseling for some legitimate or illegitimate reason. But you got to figure out what the source of your spouse's motivation is to get the help. Once you understand their motivation and tap into that thing, then all of a sudden they open themselves up. So those are just a few recommendations that have worked with the clients in the past.
Awesome. Beautiful. Tony, go ahead.
How can a woman move on from an infidelity that happened between her husband and a lady that even claims to be pregnant for him? How should she deal with ugly pictures, imaginations from the affair? This is a phenomenal question. And unfortunately, I've had a lot of experience dealing with this. Once again, This question leads to many more questions. First of all, the woman who he got pregnant, is she still pregnant? Has the baby been delivered yet? Because the way that you deal with that is different than if there is a baby and it's a toddler, a baby, your whole, like an infant, right? Versus you found out, 5 years later, that you have a 5-year-old somewhere. You didn't even know about this person, or an 18-year-old. So where the child is in the developmental process impacts the strategy of how to go about things, if that makes sense. Because now, depending upon that, that determines what involvement you as a couple will have with the former affair partner, because she's also a parent to this child that your husband has. Do you see? So oftentimes couples have to get on the same page and have a united front and a shared approach to how they're going to handle this child, what trust looks like, what interaction with the child and the relationship looks like. All these things come into play. And so it's difficult to give a broad answer when there's so many complexities that we have to know to make sure that what we're giving you works for your particular situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but she also said how should she deal with the ugly pictures or imaginations from the affair?
Yeah. So these are the triggers, right? So you have constant, and if she says ugly pictures, I think she means in her mind, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So one of the things that we encourage people to do is there's something called a thought journal. Okay, with a thought journal, your brain dumping, like every negative thought you have about yourself, every negative thought you have about your spouse, every negative thought you have about your marriage, every negative thought you have about the affair partner, write them down. Why? Because you want to get them out of your head, because unless you journal it out, talk it out, it remains trapped in here. And so once you've written those things down, I usually help couples look through these thoughts or look through these triggers to figure out, okay, which of these are real versus not? What's true? What's fact? What's fiction? And so we begin to rewrite the messaging that's trapped in a person's head. So we untrigger, if you will. See, there's a few things you can do. You can untrigger the trigger, because once you realize that the trigger is not the image, the trigger is not the smell, it's not the exit on the highway, it's not the song on the radio, it's not any of those things. The trigger is your emotional reaction to these things. And if we could work on your emotional reaction to the image, the emotional reaction to the picture, then we can really help you to remove these images and pictures from your mind. And then, because the emotional reaction lives in the brain, but the feeling lives in the mind. Okay, what's the difference? The feeling is the story you're telling yourself about that image, about that imagination. And oftentimes we've created our own narrative and then we have our own story. And when we operate in negative feelings, because we've attached negative stories to them, we remain trapped in the feeling. So you got to change the feeling, which then ultimately will shift the emotional reaction. And then you can guard yourself against the trigger. Now, I know I said a whole lot, but there's literally a process that we go through, a step-by-step process. And then if you skip over certain steps, you'll miss it. It's almost like a formula to solving a puzzle. If you know the formula, it will work for you. So just choosing not to think about it or just shifting your thoughts, that may work temporarily, but that won't help you overcome the trigger permanently. So there's a 4-part series that we put together that we're going to be incorporating into the conversations that we have in this 8-week program that will help you address the trigger, because trust and triggers are the 2 biggest issues that couples struggle with the most overcoming.
All right. That's awesome. So again, if you are dealing with infidelity in your marriage or relationship, you have to come for the reboot boot camp. You have to come for it. A reset boot camp. You have to come for it. There's just no way we can do so much. And the healing is even a process. Like in this kind of case, it's a process, not something we're going to answer in one session here. There's no way. A lot of things Hassan is sharing, and he has way more others to share in terms of how you are going to actually systematically work on your healing. So please jump on the reboot. It's starting this week, so you have this coming week, so you have to register this weekend. In fact, you have to even register now. so that you and your partner, preferably, but if your partner does not want to come, you can come alone and get healed and strengthened first. But ideally, it's better for both of you to come, because Hassani, what I noticed is that sometimes the offended, especially when it's a woman, the offended just comes for things like this alone, and then the offender is not being equipped. So I want you to talk a bit about when things like this happen. Are there things the offender also needs to do? Because a lot of times it's the offended that is frantic about seeking help and healing, but the person that actually committed the act is left hanging and they don't actually know what to do. And unfortunately, they are hurting the offended more because they're saying, why are you not getting over this? Why are you not healed? Why are you still triggered? So please talk a bit about, are we going to be able to help the person that actually committed the act during this reboot bootcamp? Talk a bit about
Oh
that.
my gosh, yeah. This program is so important for both individuals for different reasons. But for the former offender, the one who cheated on their partner, the reason why this course is critical is because most offenders have no sensitivity or no ability to empathize with their spouse because they truly don't get it. They don't understand what their spouse is going through. So they use insensitive statements like, just get over it, just move on. We already talked about this. Stop whining, stop complaining. You made the decision to stay and just stay. And so they don't realize that they're doing even more harm. We say this all the time, that the pain doesn't end when the betrayal is revealed. It further deepens because of so many missteps that the former offender makes. They do more damage in the recovery process because they don't know what steps to take. And so they remain completely ignorant. They have no knowledge of what their spouse is going through. They don't understand, why aren't you sleeping? Why aren't you eating? Why are you so preoccupied with what I did? Why don't you just turn it off? Why don't you just focus on being the wife and being a mother and showing up for everybody else? She can't, she's broken. Okay, they've been through so much pain. They're carrying so many soul wounds and heart wounds, and they're depleted. And they need you, as the former offender, to contribute to their healing. It is the responsibility of every husband or wife who cheated on their spouse to help their spouse heal, period. Now, there's a responsibility that the betrayed spouse has to heal oneself, but you, as the offender, play a pivotal role. And if you don't show up, you're convincing your spouse that you will never change. And so the question is, what motivates them to continue to be in a relationship with someone who's unrepentant, someone who has no empathy, someone who's not willing to course correct, someone who's not remorseful? You're demonstrating nothing that would give your broken spouse any belief that there's a possibility and a hope of a better future with you. So it's going to give them strategy, implementation, step-by-step techniques of exactly what they need to do to become the best version of themselves, because there was some pain and hurt and brokenness within them that caused them to do it in the first place. We're going to address that. But then how you show up for your spouse and your children, if they know. Because when you cheat on your spouse, you're also cheating on your family, especially if they found out about it. There's a pain that they're carrying as well. And you have to know how to navigate through all of that.
Yeah, so I've seen that a lot. Really, sometimes the offender or offending party is just clueless as to what to do, how to help. Clueless, because in this boot camp, we're going to help the offending party also understand the triggers, understand the things that are going to go on when you're trying to get healed. So it's too crucial, really. So please, if you can come with your partner, do so. Remember, this thing is starting this week, so you have to register now, this weekend. Very, very important for the Reset Bootcamp. It is for people trying to rekindle their love and heal after infidelity or betrayal. In the last question we answered, the person was talking about there was claims of pregnancy. So that is a whole different thing when there's a child involved. All right, whether the child has been born or in the process of being born and all that. First thing, of course, to verify that the child is who is actually from that man or woman, man, most likely, to verify, because sometimes people have claimed that, oh, this child is for this man, and when it's not. So we have to get that out of the way. Second thing as well, there has to be some guidelines in how that man continues to relate with that woman and child. So These are things that you need somebody to mediate, you need somebody to advise, you need somebody to hold people accountable. It's not something you're just going to, both of you are just going to settle within yourselves. People just do more harm. So there has to be some clear boundaries of how this relationship will continue. Because I've seen many cases where this girl gets pregnant for this man. This man he claims he's going to visit the baby every once in a month or whatever. Before long, they have two babies. These are the things we're saying, guys. Don't try to do these things yourself, except you're an expert, right? Don't try to say that. Get help. It will cost you way less to get help eventually than what it will cost to try to go through this on your own. Please, we want to encourage you, join the Reset Bootcamp. All right. Yeah, we'll take a few more questions.
What if divorcing your wife for cheating would make you lose half your asset? What will you do? Well, the easy answer is don't divorce. Divorce should be the last option, not the first. Now, of course, people who have come to us and gone to anybody from counseling, there is a percentage of those who decide to go their separate ways. That's not what's ideal. That's not God's desire. Reconciliation and redeeming the time that has been lost is his desire. But oftentimes people have a hardened heart, and their heart becomes so hardcore and stone that there's this uncompromising approach that they take, and there's no option for them to heal, because that's a decision that they've made. And we're saying the reason why you're going to come through this 8-week course is for those of you who are completely committed to divorcing no matter what. Hopefully you'll hear something different, gain a different perspective, see something that you didn't see before, and have a change of heart. Because this question that's being asked just proves that there's so much to lose when you divorce. Now, he's talking about assets. That's one thing. That's a financial consequence. But then there are spiritual, emotional, relational, familial consequences associated with divorce as well. Everybody loses in that process. So if you can work on healing restoration, it would be most ideal.
Yeah. All right. So you have more to be concerned about than just your asset, really. Because from this question, the person's focused on the assets. There's a whole lot more to be focused on before you get to the assets part. Susan is asking a question. I just felt like throwing it in here. Tony, can highlight that. Susan Crowder's question says, my estranged husband has been telling me he is a changed person. I don't know how he expects me to just believe him and return. He refused to seek help. So, Susan, you've answered your own question. He refused to seek help means he's the same person that messed things up the first time. So he has not changed. So you've answered your own question. I love when women talk. Women are able to, talk enough to ask the question and answer the question. I really love it. So you've answered the question. He refused to seek help. So he's the same person. So imagine somebody that does not have a driver's license, has never learned how to drive. He drove a car and crashed it. And he comes back and says, I'm a new person. He said, have you gone to driving school now? He said, no. Do you have a driver's license now? No. Is anybody teaching you how to drive? He said, no. The answer is simple. He's the same person that crashed the car. He's about to crash the next car. It's a simple question. So Hassan, maybe throw in some stuff on that.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I think people make decisions in a moment and think because I made a decision, I'm different. And this is the challenge that we have with a lot of former unfaithful spouses. I don't need to get help. I don't need to talk to no pastor, or I don't need to talk to no man and no woman about my life. I already know. And so I think they underestimate how difficult and challenging change really is. It requires great intentionality. It requires a system of accountability. It requires a program and process that you go through. It is more than just a decision that you make in your mind, because the habit and the addiction and the pattern exists right here. And before you can change your actions, you have to change your thinking, right? You have to have a renewed way of thinking. And so two of the questions that we often ask people, the first session we have when we meet with them, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your willingness to learn? And on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your willingness to change? If you have a low teachability index and you are not willing to learn something new, then you're going to continue to do what you've always done. And guess what? You're going to continue to get the same results because you're the same person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to tell women this especially. I know it happens to men as well, but I want to speak specifically to women. You are the main actor in the movie of your life. You are the main
Mm,
actor. You are not a side actor.
mm,
You're not
mm,
a, what we call him local pilot. You're not a worker pass. Women sometimes act as if they are not important. If somebody has hurt you or offended you by cheating on the marriage, they do not get to dictate how you heal, at what pace you heal, and how you react. You can't slap somebody and tell them not to cry. They can't dictate how to hurt you and how to for you to heal. But most women try to just still adapt to the offender, thinking that will help, and that will just cause further hurt. If somebody offends you, before you continue the journey, insist on both of you seeking help. Just saying I'm sorry and both of you hug each other is not enough. If somebody has offended you and broken the trust in the marriage, insist. They do not get to choose how this goes. You insist on both of you seeking help, not just you, because they'll say you go and seek help. I'm okay. No, 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 no. If not, this guy is going to do it again. So you must insist that this is we are both going to seek help so that this doesn't happen again, and so that I'm going to heal as well. But I see what women do, just try to pretend and they keep crying, they keep talking, they just want to talk to people about it. No, you don't need to keep telling the whole world about what has happened, but you need to get professional help. All right. Again, this is why we are hammering the Reset Bootcamp. Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to reinforce what you just said, because you said something very powerful. It's so funny what you just said. I just shared this with my class yesterday, and I said, you are the writer, the producer, the director, the main character of your own story. That's what happens when you close your eyes and you're looking at this black screen, this black movie screen. You can create whatever image, vision that you desire, and then you bring it into life. And I think that many people have given up their power. They've given up the creative ability that God has given them to really begin to change their destiny. And so it's because we don't know who we really are and what we were designed to do. And so knowing who you are and gaining the sense of self is also a part of this healing and restoration process that you go through, because you've lost your sense of self and it's time to get that back.
Mm-hmm. All right. For those that are single men in the house, don't forget that on Monday I'm meeting with you guys. Really, it's open for all singles, really. In fact, it's open for everybody. But I'm doing a 2 weeks thing with men, single men. We did one last Monday. We're doing one this Monday. And this Monday I'm talking about why every man needs to marry a fat one. Want to know what fat is about, you have to come. All right. It's why all men need a fat. I married a fat woman and I highly recommend it to all men. So if you're a single man, we have a single man Telegram group where we share and we meet and do stuff. So we are doing one again this Monday. If you are a single man, it'd be nice for you to come join. It's live free, it's live like this. So take note of it and join. They'll probably put the Telegram page for single men so that you can join. If you're a lady, in fact, everybody really, you remember that Pastor Media Just Us Girls series is on now on YouTube. You can watch it as well. You can join the tribe if you're a single lady. But there's BFF for single ladies as well. We'd love you to join. If you're a single lady, best way for you to prepare yourself for the next phase of your life, whether it's marriage or just business or life in general. Single ladies, Pastor Media is going to mentor you for about 12 weeks. All right. So, and then we have the Reset Bootcamp, which is starting this week as well. Okay. So, a few more questions. I think we'll just have like maybe 7 or 8 more questions before we sign out. All right. So, Tony.
What can you do, sir, when you are in a relationship with a divorcee and she still acts based on her former breakup? She is defensive in conversation and a lot of things. Well, here's the reality. You can choose whether to stay or go. You're not married. You're not in a covenant relationship. And if that relationship isn't working, then you have choices you can make. So either you're going to get help as a couple. 2, hopefully she's open to getting some help for herself, because we bring our past hurts, pains, brokenness, our struggles from the past into present relationships, as I mentioned earlier. And sometimes if there's no gap in time between your previous relationship and your current relationship, you haven't taken time to heal, to become whole, to become the best versions of yourself, to self-reflect, to kind of look at what went right, what went wrong. Like, there are lessons that you could learn. And so some of us race out of one relationship and race into another because we don't like being alone. Right? It's scary to be all alone and all by ourselves. Now, I don't know I don't know how long that time period was between the previous and this one, but obviously there's still some work that needs to be done. And so some things can only be resolved within, right? So this is why we say the key to your relational restoration is your personal transformation. So if I'm bringing defensiveness and if I'm bringing in unhealthy communication patterns into this relationship, then I've got to look internally to find out the root of that, address it, and then get to a better place. So either encourage counseling as a couple, encourage individual counseling for her. If nothing changes, then you have a decision that you should make for for the betterment of your life and your future.
Absolutely. If she doesn't decide to get help, don't move forward. And even you as well. I'm wondering why you are there without ensuring that things get better. What I've learned in over the years is that when it comes to relationship and marriage, unhealthy attracts unhealthy. That's how it works. All right. When somebody has one extreme of a healthiness, the only people that can stay with them, somebody that has another extreme, because opposites attract. Compatibility is crucial. So that's what happens. If somebody is excessively violent, they will usually stay with someone that is so timid and has such low self-esteem that that person feels they don't deserve anything better. But if you're a very healthy person, there are just things you don't take. That is why you can't be healthy and okay and decide that where you want to have lunch is in a trash can. You just can't. All right. Except you are dealing with extreme poverty. So something has to be missing for you to be okay with something that is weird or unhealthy. So if she's acting this way and you are wanting to stay, something is also wrong with you as well. So both of you need good therapy, good counseling to delve into the real issues going on there. All right. But don't move ahead until she gets help.
Do you, I guess, have a group program for those wanting to proceed with divorce but require support?
We actually do have a divorce counselor. So yes, you need to reach out to our team. I don't know if they'll put a number for you. We have a divorce counselor. She's experienced. She's a marriage counselor. She has also been divorced before. She's also a lawyer. She's also a trained divorce counselor. So that's what we have. So it's not a group thing. It's a one-on-one thing, so that the person can speak specifically to your situation. So we don't have a group class, but we have a one-on-one class where the person can take you through. So reach out to our team and sign up for that. But good question, actually. Yes. Tony, go ahead. Let me see if I can read some myself while we're waiting for Tony.
Is it important for the betrayed to know what the affair partner looks like for purposes of closure? This is a great question. I deal with this a lot. Here's the reality. In the full disclosure process, which is a process, that is a time where questions are asked, answers are given with a counselor who can guide a person through the recovery process. And this question often comes up. Either I know who the spouse, I know who the affair partner is, or I have no clue. And so it creates a bit of anxiety because I don't know who this person is. I feel like I'm in the dark. So a part of the ability of sharing the truth is revealing any and all. You can't pick and choose what you want to share, because if you're keeping that important information from your spouse about who it is, you could lie and say it's one person and it's really someone else, and the affair can continue. And I've been a part of that process. Or you may give an idea that, oh, the person looks like this, and they'll create a fake picture or get a fake video of who the affair partner is to throw them off from who the person really is. So they're still lying and they're still deceiving. And I think that whatever that betrayed spouse wants to know that will give them closure, they have a right to know. Because if you're going to move forward based upon a healthy relationship, honesty, trust, transparency has to be the foundation of every relationship moving forward. Because if I can't trust you, then we're going to continue to struggle. And who wants to be in a relationship where one struggles to trust, the other one struggles to be trusted? It just creates more emotional discord amongst the couple. So to me, all of those questions have to come out and all of them have to be answered. Okay. What can a falsely accused do to heal, even when the accuser has it in his head that what he has in his head is true and nothing can change it? He gives silent treatment for months, refuses to seek help. What can a falsely accused do to heal when the accuser has in his head that what he has in his head is true? Okay, so I'm assuming a spouse is accusing another spouse.
I can just break it down for you. So let's say the husband believes that the wife is cheating, so he's falsely accusing her. And no matter what she does, he still has it in his head that she's cheating, and he refuses to get help about it and everything. So
yeah. Well, we try to pull out all the evidence. If you're going to accuse me of that, what is the evidence? What is the proof? What are you pointing to? Because we can all make accusations that are not true. If they just believe in the pit of their soul that something's not right, that may be based upon something. But, this is why I tell people all the time, before you approach your spouse, you want to be able to have some type of tangible evidence, because most people immediately deny anything that has happened. And so they'll tell you you're crazy, you're wrong. And so if you have no evidence to support it, what legs do you have to stand on, right? So if they're saying I'm falsely accused, I haven't done anything, but my spouse still thinks it, well, this is what I've done. Like if there's a fear of God in the relationship, like they legitimately fear God and have a relationship with God, then we often take it to prayer. And so I will have the accused, the one who's being accused, enter into prayer with their spouse and say to God, God, if I am lying, if I'm involved with any other person, reveal it to my spouse, expose me. Okay. Because the last thing I'm going to do is lie to the Holy Ghost. The last thing I'm going to do is tempt God. So God, I'm telling my spouse that I haven't done anything. I haven't been involved in an affair. They continue to believe it. And I'm asking you to intervene on our behalf. And if I am lying, expose me. Now that's a bold prayer. You know what I'm saying? If you live in a lie, that's not something that you want to pray, because guess what? Now you're tempting God and mocking God. And so that has helped many couples when there's been nothing else that they could do to prove, to confirm, to correct, the accusation.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll take like 2 more questions before we sign out. Don't forget, BFF is a single lady, and for couples dealing with infidelity or anything like that, we have the Reset Bootcamp. It's starting this week. These 2 things are starting this week. So you have to sign up. And even if for some reason the timing, you're unable to attend the live class, there'll be replays for you and things like that you can still participate in. There'll be group sessions. There'll be, it's very detailed and to really help you. Somebody saying, what days will the bootcamp take place? And those it covers, I think it's 2 days a week. I think it's either Tuesdays or Thursdays or something like that, twice a week. But like I said, if you miss the live classes, you can always join the replay. All right. But if you did just join. It will be a blessing to you.
My friend stopped kissing her husband after he cheated on her. He doesn't want to get help. What can my friend do? Who doesn't want to get help? The one who cheated or the one who was?
Yes, the one who cheated, I believe.
Yeah, well, that's a problem. If he wants his situation to change, he's going to have to do something about it. And it's as simple as that. I mean, I can give you a long answer, but if he's not willing to do anything different, then he's going to continue to remain trapped in a physically and emotionally disconnected marriage where his wife won't even put her lips on her husband's lips, and that's a problem. When couples stop touching, it is an indication that there are major issues, and that becomes a slippery slope that makes things progressively worse. So if it's starting out with this way, imagine what it'll be a couple months from now if you don't do anything different.
Yeah, I even think we even ask couples not to be quick to resume sex until some process is being put in place. So again, this is what I tell women: don't just jump into bed, jump into everything, continue life as usual. The signal you've given that man is that this is okay. You can continue to do what you're doing. So you need to call the person's attention. Even if it's a woman, same thing. You can't continue everything, and you claim you're offended. And you continue. Imagine if a country runs a country like that, as if somebody robs the bank, and they just say, bye, don't do it again. Picture how many, everybody will be a bank robber. You will be arrested, you will be put in prison, there will be consequences. That's the only way you maintain sanity. So, but somewhere in women's mind, I don't know too much of men that do it. I know some men do it, but at least I know so many women that just want to resume the status quo, want to bend themselves and adjust to a cheating man. If you don't call him to order, don't hold him responsible, don't put accountability, you have taught him the worst lesson possible that he can continue that lifestyle, and you are going to suffer.
Facts.
You're going to suffer so much for it. Trust me, you're going to suffer so much for it.
What's the exact issue of someone who finds herself cheating in a relationship with good men and suffering with the ones cheated with? What, do you understand that question?
I don't understand that ending. I understand the beginning. What's the exact issue of someone who finds herself cheating in all relationships with good men and suffering when I think one cheats on her as well? I believe that's what she's saying.
Yeah. So I'll start with the first part of the question. What is the issue of someone who finds herself cheating in all their relationships? So this is not about the person that they're in the relationship with. It's not about the betrayed spouse. It's not about what's working or not working in the relationship. It's something internally that drives this same pattern of cheating. And so oftentimes people are in search for something, right? Some people, as I mentioned, are addicted to these hidden addictions that drive these behaviors. I would question the person's personal weaknesses and biases, their belief systems, their value systems. I would question what their temptations and struggles are. I would question what their definition of monogamy and commitment is. I would want to know about the environment that they were raised in, what they were exposed to. Did they see commitment? What did that look like? Was everyone cheating, or were there a lot of short-term relationships? What is their faith tradition? What is their worldview? These speak to personal factors, right? So when we talk about why people cheat, usually there's going to be personal factors, relational factors, or social factors. And oftentimes we can point to issues in all three categories, but 50% of the reasons why people cheat are based upon their personal factors. What I brought into the relationship, the mindset, the behaviors, the patterns, the trajectory that I brought into the relationship. And that requires a deeper dive to really be able to know the exact issue, which keeps her doing the same thing again and again and again.
All right. So please, guys, like you said, really, this is clearly a personal issue. It's not about the men. Something is going on somewhere. There's some disconnect mentally. There's some disconnect behaviorally. Something is going on. So you need to seek help. Don't try to wing these things yourself, please. I don't know how much more I can resound this to people's hearing. Please seek help. And as a rule, anyone that has cheated and refuses to seek help is clearly unrepentant, clearly not sorry about what they've done. All right, maybe Hassani should answer what to do if your partner is not, remorseful or ready to change. What should someone do?
Well, I think the advice that you gave earlier makes sense. Now this is a weird concept, but you in essence just said it, and I say it differently. In the world, there are consequences for bad behavior. There's a punishment and reward system for good and bad behavior. If I'm driving in a car and I'm speeding, if I'm going 5 miles over, I may get a warning. But if I'm 10 miles over, I may get a ticket. If I'm 20 miles over, I'm going to get a ticket and a points. If I go 40 miles over, now I'm reckless driving. They may suspend my license and take my vehicle. And I think that in society, in organizations, there are punishments and consequences for behaviors, and we don't bring that concept of a punishment reward system into a marriage. So to your point, when a person cheats, it's almost like we reward them with commitment, with sex, with intimacy, with all these things. And so they're like, oh, she's good or he's good. There's no consequences for those behaviors. And I think that that's why it's important to figure out what specifically you need to do if you're in this situation. And those details will come out in this 8-week course.
That's powerful. Tony, there's a question here, the BAA question. I like it. I think it's good to hear Asana's view on it. That's the last question on the chat there.
If the affair is public and you want to forgive, but you are scared of social media trolling, what do you do? Like people trolling that you're a weak man continuously. Well, let's take a lesson from the most recent incident that took place at the Coldplay concert, where the CEO was caught in an affair with another woman, and that other woman was married to a billionaire, right? How did the spouses react to that situation? One of the first things they did was they turned off their social media. Anyone who's in the public and has a following, oftentimes if they look at those responses, yes, they will feel humiliated, they will feel triggered. And so some people completely turn social media off so they're not negatively influenced by the opinions of other people. Because when you listen to the opinions of other people, when you read hashtags, when you hear what people have to say, most will call you crazy. They shame people for staying and applaud people for leaving because that's what they would do. So people are projecting their own decisions on other people and judging people if they have other decisions. And at the end of the day, who do you listen to? You listen to people who have what you want and have been where you've been. I would never get marriage advice from a single person. I would never get business advice from an employee. I would never give health advice on how to lose weight from someone who weighs just as much or more than me. I need to go to people who have my answer, who represent my solution. So I would turn my eyes, my ears off from all outside influences. I would get on my knees and pray. I would seek wise counsel. I would join this 8-week program and allow that to be your source of information, inspiration, encouragement to take you through this journey. But if you have a desire to forgive and move forward with your spouse, don't let the world negatively impact your divine godly decision to restore your marriage.
Powerful, powerful. Tony, there's a BAA question here. Yeah.
What do you do if one party, the one who cheated, is seeking divorce from court already, and the other partner still thinks and wants the marriage to work? Well, I don't know what country you're in. I don't know how the laws work, but in America, for instance, if one wants to file and the other doesn't, it delays the process. You really have to have two people who are willing to go through the process. Otherwise, you just can't. And that's a part of the challenge, getting two people on board. And so, the one who cheated is seeking the one who cheated, right? So if you don't want that divorce, then don't pursue it. And hopefully in the meantime, somebody could get to him or get to her and talk through other options. As we always say, some people will divorce, but divorce should be the last option, not the first option. Most people have this knee-jerk reaction to end it because of the circumstances that they're in, rather than trying to work on those circumstances. And so, I would do my best to seek wise counsel on how to go about winning somebody's heart back who's already to the point where they just want to file divorce and move on. And I will say, there have been many people who have even filed for divorce, and there was a date scheduled. I've seen people literally cancel the proceedings of a divorce hours before the actual court case because in their heart of hearts, they really didn't want it to happen, but because they were in their ego, they were in their pride, they had fear, they were full of hopelessness, They didn't believe that there was any better solution, but something in them said maybe there's some possibility, and they canceled the proceedings, went through a process of recovery, and they're still together, alive and well today.
Okay, and sometimes as well, the person might want the divorce because they are ashamed. They don't want to face the consequences. So sometimes just seeking help, prayer, things like that can get them back on the board, and then they can get help. But if they insist they must go, really, you can't hold anybody down. So you have to do that. So again, before we take the last question, we just have one more question before we go. Don't forget, we're doing a reset bootcamp for anybody dealing with cheating, infidelity, and want to rekindle their love. It's better you come as a couple. That's the best thing, because the offending party also needs to learn the part they need to play in the healing process. But if your partner is not willing to come, at least you can come and get some help as well. So it's starting this Monday, actually. So you have to register this weekend and take advantage of it. You can register as an individual, or you can register as a couple. We advise you to register as a couple because healing is better when both parties are working on it. All right, so that's what we advise. Don't forget, if you're a single lady, we have BFF. All right, we have BFF. All right, for single ladies. So please take note of that. If you're a single lady, join. That's also starting this week as well. So you do have to register this weekend as well to join and take advantage of it. If you're a single man, don't forget on Monday we have our hangout Monday evening online here as well. Ladies usually come, but it's more for men, and I'm talking about why all men need a fat woman. Am I the fat woman? And trust me, you definitely want to be there if you're a single man. I'm going to tell you all about it. All right. So someone asking the lady that just asked the question, why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you? If you're already married, remember it's her marriage, so she doesn't, of course, want it to break. So yeah, so we'll seek to mend first. All right, before we do it. So last question, then we'll go. Tony, go ahead.
How should one handle distractions, please? Always been on the phone. Should one deliberately ignore or make a decision to not be on the phone or keep it away? I'm not sure who the one is, but the phone is often a distraction. It is a time suck. Oftentimes when people think about it, if you have a job and you're on your job 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and then you come home, and then the first thing you do is disconnect from your spouse and get connected to this device, which connects you to the outside world that you just came from, it creates more problems. And so it's important that couples create what is called a technology-free zone. So on these particular days, for this amount of time, we're turning off the phone, possibly turning off the television and all these other devices so that we can connect with one another. If you think about this laptop that I have right here, it's not plugged in. If you were to see my battery, it's almost on red, right? And what happens is when we're not connected to our spouses, we become emotionally and relationally depleted. And so we get to a place where we're empty, and we need to plug back in order to reconnect and revive and restore the love and the connection that we have. And knocking out all distractions creates space for us to be able to do it. I remember hearing someone say that distraction can lead to destruction. So do your best to overcome these distractions.
Powerful. But Vivian, can you elaborate on your question? Is it you that has been distracted, or your partner is always being distracted? All right. For Susan, he was saying, yeah, he cheated on her and proceeded with the divorce. Yes, like I said, he might be ashamed, dealing with guilt and shame. So when we do these kind of programs, like we always explain, where it's a threefold healing. The offender also needs healing because he's going through guilt and shame. And interestingly, he can even now learn and become better and go and marry another person where you have a clean slate. Now you have invested 7 years, 10 years into this marriage, or 3 kids. You are now left alone, and he's now a better person. He has learned from his mistake. So we'll never just advise on the surface. We need to get into the case to know if the person really needs to leave, or needs to stay, and all that. And Charlotte was saying, thank you for the wonderful session, but I disagree with the clause of not taking advice from single people. So, Charlotte, I have a question for you. Are you married? That's my question for you first. Before I tell you my answer, Charlotte, if you're still here, if you have not left, the question is, are you married? Let me start from there. Then I will explain to you as we go on. Faith said,
if
no,
I could,
I want her to answer if she's married first
okay.
before we talk to her. Favor says, during the 8 weeks course, will you teach on boundaries towards the opposite sex, especially for those who struggle with it and may have cheated? It's all encompassing. That's what we're saying. It's a thorough thing. Hassani has done this for Hassani. How many years have you done infidelity recovery?
18 years.
18 years. So trust me, I don't know what case you want to mention that he has not seen something more dramatic. So it's all encompassing. It's going to cover everything. All right. It's going to cover all kinds of things you have no clue about. So your own job is to register and show up. And if possible, get your partner to show up, which is better. Everything we handle. There's a process to how even the breakup has to be done. So if that's recovery, you pay to learn it. It's not like marriage counseling. It's not like marriage advice. It's not that kind of thing at all. It's a whole process. All right. It's a whole process. So please let's register. Trust me. We don't just do. I didn't go and drag. Asani is an American, done this for 18 years. Is in quote a celebrity counselor. He has featured on TV programs. So trust me, it's not just somebody we met on the way and brought. This is proper stuff, and we're bringing it to you at a very reduced rate, because if you go one-on-one, it's going to be way more expensive. So please jump on it. So Susan, I hope you understand now. She has even answered. Susan has said they've been married for 7 years and they have 3 kids. So she can't just jump out. It's her marriage. All right. And the devil wants to break that marriage. That's the devil's plan, to break that marriage. So the first thing is to seek to heal and correct. All right. I think Charlotte has left. I wanted to answer Charlotte's question, but I think she has left. So when Asani said something like, even though I will let him expatiate. Let me let him expatiate first before I talk about it. All right. Let me let him expatiate. Yes.
Oh yeah. So listen, everybody thinks about this differently, and not everybody agrees with me, and that's okay. But for me, I'm very careful who I listen to, and I'll give you a couple examples. I remember going to a marriage counselor, Danielle and I, for counseling. And at the beginning of the session, I said, listen, before we start, let me just ask you one question. He said, sure, ask me whatever you want. I said, how's your marriage? And he looked at me and he laughed and he said, well, which one? I've been married 3 times. That was my last session with him. I don't want what he has. He does not have what I want. I don't want to be on my 3rd marriage. I want to restore my 1st. Now, I know this is controversial, because many people have been remarried and have wonderful relationships, and that's great. And they can speak from a place of authority about how marriage works. They can talk about the pain of divorce. They could talk about what not to do. And so to me, that qualifies them, right? But for me, I'm very selective. Even when I read a book, before I read a book, I want to know who the author was. What is his background? Let me tell you something. I have been in this space more than 18 years. I've been dealing with marriage for that long. But I've been a speaker and an author many years prior to that. I used to write books I wasn't qualified to write. Why? Because I know how to write a book. I have the skill set to do research, put information together, and publish a book. I know how to do that. But does that qualify me? No, not necessarily. I could write a book today about how to build a rocket ship and fly to the moon. But would you trust me? I've never done it. But I know how to put research together, make it sound good. And so this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of people who have great advice and great insight, and what they say sounds great. My question is, are you living your message? Do you have the fruit? Do you have the results, of what it is that you're talking about? If you do not, I don't want to listen to you. It's okay that others do. I'm talking about for me. That's why I'm very selective. So there's a standard that I place on things, and we all have to determine what our standard is.
Yeah, beautiful. BA, as much as we also know you need to fight for your marriage, but sometimes as well, this person has checked out, and is trying to avoid you at all means, looking for an easy way out. So Again, counsel will help. Don't just go through this journey on your own. Professional help is definitely necessary. There are questions to ask. There are people who've counseled and they were not in a marriage at all to begin with. So the person is now trying to leave and they're trying to hold on to the person. They should let that kind of one go so that they can have a fresh start. They were never in a marriage. The person was just a scam from beginning. All right. Now, on Charlotte has also answered. So I'm not married, but I have used wisdom. Hey, I knew you are not married, Charlotte. It's obvious you are not married. It's because you are only right now seeing one side of the coin. You've not gained experience on both sides. I've been a marriage counselor even for years before I got married. Years before I got married, maybe up to 10 years before I got married. I've been teaching on marriage. And like you said, I had good ideas. And even Paul in the Bible that taught about marriage most times was not even married. So yes, by revelation and gift, you can teach marriage. But trust me, for someone now that is married for 20 years, I can tell you for free that when someone that is married teaches you about marriage, he's talking from things he has actually seen, his hands have handled. It's different from the person that is imagining the scenarios he's talking about. It's just a world of difference. All right. I can describe Japan, but if I've been to Japan, the way I will talk about it, very different from someone just imagining it. All right. So trust me. And of course, Hassani doesn't mean literally you must never listen to them, but if you want the best, really, someone that has some handle of what they are describing, it's way better. All right. So somebody's asking, is the reset for only people in Africa? No, nothing we do is for only Africa. Everything we do is for global. It's for everybody. It's virtual, so you can join from anywhere in the world. All right. All the program BFF is virtual. You can join from anywhere in the world. Reset is virtual. You can join from anywhere in the world. Just go register. The links have been put there. The numbers have been put there. They will still put these links after the events. Go jump on it and take advantage of it to be a blessing to you. Instagram, the same thing. Go and look for the link or link in my bio. Join. I have to release Asani. I have to sign out as well. Asani, thank you for joining. Look forward to seeing you throughout this program and enjoying your expertise. You've blessed us so much today. You've blessed us so much today. Thank you. I know you took out of your time, but thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you all when we start. Take care.
All right. So, hey, go sign up, people. See you in class this week. Take advantage of it to be a blessing to you. Thank you for coming out today anyway. For single men, don't forget we have our thing on Monday evening. Why all men need a partner. See you. All right, guys. Thank you. Tony, thank you. You can sign out.